every town a favor kind of along the way. I mean,
Are you ready? You want to go now?
When you're up there, grab it.
We'll call to order the Douglasville City Council Legislative Work Session for tonight, which is Thursday, August the 1st, 2024. Our invocation will be done by the Reverend Dr. Francisco Artley of Poseyville Church. After that, we'll have the Mayor Pro Tem, City Council Member Terry Miller, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand for the invocation.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council. I ask next Tuesday at 6 o'clock that you pray for us as we meet, the Planning Commission meets, because it will be the first time that we'll be meeting with one of our members who has left us, and we will all be saddened in her departure, and we will all miss her. So I ask that you pray for her family, Miss Joy Bates, and us. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, Lord, we come to you and thank you for this beautiful day that you have given us. And Lord, we just ask that the Spirit hover over this meeting, that you give the mayor and the city council wisdom and guidance to conduct the business of the city. And Lord, those that are come today, I ask, Lord, that you be with them. And Lord, I just thank you for the work that they are doing for the city, and I just ask that you bless them. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, for leading us in the pledge. And Pastor Artley, we definitely will be praying for Miss Bates and her family. I attended her service, her homegoing service, and it was beautiful. And she was a beautiful person. She really exemplified her name, Joy. She was a joy. So we'll be praying for you. Thank you so much. I'd like to welcome you to the Douglasville City Council. My name is Rochelle Robinson. I'm mayor of the city of Douglasville. This is a meeting where items will be discussed this evening, but official action will not take place until next Monday for the items that were discussed tonight at our legislative work session. If the business you're here for is not listed as an agenda item, there will be ample time under the agenda items, comments from citizens and delegates for you to discuss your business. I'll go over a few protocol issues for this evening, and then we'll get into the meat of the meeting. I'd like to welcome you again. I ask that you please keep your comments and presentations on a professional level, dealing with the facts that are important for this governing body to make our decisions. We will not accept comments that are considered by the chair to be of a personal attack against any individual or group of individuals. You'll receive a warning from the chair. If you deviate from this requirement, a second deviation will result in a request for you to leave the chambers this evening. So we ask that you will not call out individuals' names or a group of individuals and give disparaging remarks. Only one person speaking at a time. Please do not applaud or react to speakers or speak from the audience, cheer, or carry on a conversation when you're at the podium. We ask that you would please address your comments and concerns to the chair or myself when you're standing at the podium, and direct all of your concerns to us. We're only required to accept public comments during required public hearings. And if you have a cell phone or electronic device, I ask that you would please put those in silent mode during the meeting or turn those off until after the meeting so they will not be disruptive. Now, I'll go over a few more protocol issues, and then we'll get into our meeting. The agenda items will be handled in the following manner. The committee chairperson will read the agenda item, then that person representing that agenda item or applicant will make his or her presentation. Myself and council members will probably ask clarifying questions of the applicant just to seek more information so that we'll be prepared to make our decisions on Monday. After that, the committee chairperson will ask for comments if it's a public hearing or statements from the audience. There is a maximum time frame of 20 minutes for those that are in favor of the item and 20 minutes for those that are in opposition of those particular items. Each person has 5 minutes to speak. If you have more members that will take up beyond the 5 minutes, if you have 5 or so members, we ask that you would divvy up your time so that each person will have allotted time, but that totally, you only have 20 minutes to speak in favor and 20 minutes for those in opposition. So if you need 3 minutes apiece, that's fine, but we will cut off your time after 20 minutes. Each person only has one opportunity to speak. We ask that you will not have duplicate opportunities or come back and forth to the microphone. You only have one opportunity. Now, prior to coming to the microphone, there are the cards that are outside. They're blue cards. We ask that you would fill those speaker cards out, put your name and address on those cards, and hand them to our Assistant City Clerk, Ms. Jackson, and then you will bring those forward, give your name and address again for the record. When you're at the podium, we ask that you would please not make this a question and answer format or a debate format. We're just here to hear the information, deliberate, and make our decision next week. Please address all of your comments to the chairperson. Now, if you have any printed materials or anything that you'd like to give to us, we ask that you would please give those to our Assistant City Clerk. And she will make copies and disseminate those to us, and again, we'll make our decisions on Monday. That's a whole lot of information. Hopefully, we're all on the same page. We do have agendas that are outside for if you want a printed agenda out on the desk. If not, you can follow us on the screen that is above me. So now we'll move on with the agenda item as presented. We've gone through the first 3 items, and now we're at introductions and presentations of our 2024 summer interns to myself and council, and this will be spearheaded by Ms. Allison Parker. And I am just so appreciative of the staff. This is an ideal, I think, that I brought maybe 6 years ago to the city to have interns, college interns, come to the city of Douglasville. We have been very successful with this program. We've actually hired a number of the college students that intern for the summer. After they graduate from college, we've had some of them come back as well as graduate students. And I believe this year we actually have a high school student that has come who's a senior on his way to college in Texas. And so, Ms. Allison, if you'll talk to us about this program. But thank you, staff, for taking the time, and directors to pour into these students. It does take extra time when they go to departments to explain information to them and to have them get acclimated to the culture of each department. So we really appreciate all of your diligent work, and especially Ms. Parker, who is very protective of the interns and their programs. So we appreciate that, and thank you to the council for allowing us to put this in our just bailiwick of things that we do and things that we provide to the community. So at this point, we'll have Ms. Parker bring our 2024 internship students come forward and talk to us about what they've learned this summer at the city.
Thank you so much, Mayor.
You're
Allison Parker, 6695 Church Street, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. Greetings to Mayor and Council. Thank you for allowing us this opportunity. I echo the sentiments of Mayor Robinson. We want to first thank Mayor and Council and our City Manager's Office and staff for their full support of our internship program. It's been great just to see how it's grown, how we have to kind of look at adding additional positions as it pertains to our internship program, and how it's just evolving. So this evening, our summer 2024 interns will be coming to you to introduce themselves. They'll be sharing their name, their school, the department they served in, and one key takeaway. Before I let them come, I wanted to provide you with just a few stats. So this summer, we had 12 interns. Of the 12, 5 will be returning and joining us for our fall semester. And we had one intern who just recently accepted a full-time role in our community relations department as the marketing and events coordinator. And so it is the hopes and desires of our city manager and management, just that we are creating a strong pipeline for careers and encouraging our interns to come back and join us full time. And so it's really great to be able to be part of those success stories and see how well our interns thrive either at other places of business or coming back and joining us full time. And to Mayor's point, our first intern will be Theodore Baker, who came to us by way of ICMA. He is a recent high school graduate and will be going to Texas A&M. So from there, I will allow them to introduce themselves. Once they finish, we'll have you all come out and take a photo, and then they have some gifts. Earlier today, they had to put together they presented a presentation to staff just showing what they've learned, and they put together a hypothetical project. And so they had some goodie bags they wanted to share with you all.
Theodore Baker, 6695 Church Street, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. Good evening. Once
Good
again,
evening.
my name is Theodore Baker. I am set to pursue a degree in business administration at Texas A&M University. I was selected as a Bob Turner Scholar through ICMA. I had the opportunity to shadow different departments and gain a strong understanding of how government works or operates. This experience has allowed me to observe how different departments collaborate to achieve effective governance. One key takeaway I can take away from this internship is the critical role of networking with your colleagues. Building these connections not only facilitates professional development, but also significantly enhances one's resourcefulness within the workplace. Thank you for your time and consideration.
You have to tell us which high school. I know which one it is, but tell the council which high school.
I attended New Manchester High School.
New Manchester, yes, sir. Thank you so much, Theodore.
Thank you.
Ms. Camille?
Jasmine Camille Brown, 6695 Church Street, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. Good evening.
Good evening.
I attend the University of West Georgia. I'm a marketing major, and I am the community development intern. One key takeaway that I have received from this opportunity was getting to learn just how expansive the community development department is. Learning that it's not just about the construction of new buildings, but also it has to do with historic preservation and zoning. But additionally, I've also learned how all the departments work together in order to ensure the well-being of the city of Douglasville. Thank you.
And Miss Camille plays the violin beautifully. We should have her come back. Thank you so much, Miss Brown. I know.
Dimitri Flowers, Parks and Rec intern, Shorter University. Key takeaway I took from working in parks was just building youth programs, or just seeing youth programs and how they start and how they're being read. Being a sports athlete and majoring in sports management, I've been on the actual playing side of the sports, but never the business side. So it's kind of fun and cool being on the opposite side of that and seeing the work that's put into it from all the communities and all the different departments working together.
Come back. I know we can ask questions all together. I'll get mine out real fast. So the camps, how were the camps for you and
they're
field
fun.
trips?
It's fun working with kids, kind of seeing the joy that these camps kind of bring to them, and just how it brings all the different people together from no matter where, and just the fun, seeing the smile on the kids' faces early in the morning, or rather, however long the camps are.
Yeah, fantastic. It was great, huh?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Thank you so much. Yes, sir. Right, series.
David Garcia, 6695 Church Street. I'm in the Community Relations Department, and I graduated from the University of Georgia. My main takeaway from my internship here was learning the roles of everyone, the importance of learning everyone's roles in your department, because ultimately that's what helps you help everyone else the most. If you know people's roles, you know exactly what to do to help them and what their goals are at the end of the day. And if you communicate your role to them, they'll know how to help you. And at the end of the day, it's all about teamwork and knowing more about your team. That's how you get things done.
Yes, sir. So recently graduating from UGA, what's going on with football? You going to be at Ohio State again, or what's?
You know what? I'm not really into all that school spirit stuff.
What?
But
Go
yeah, that's
Dogs!
it.
What?
That sound you just heard with former Councilman Adams' heart just broke.
I know.
But go Dogs anyway.
Go Dogs.
But we'll see, huh? We'll see if it's Ohio State and UGA again in football. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Hello.
Bailey Hogue, 6695 Church Street. I'm the Conference Center and Tourism intern, and I attend Kennesaw State University. One major takeaway from my internship is that I gained a lot of hands-on experience with event planning and learned what goes into event coordination on a larger scale. And yeah, I got to see the process of like the amphitheater and everything.
That's a lot, all those concerts.
Yes, all the
And
concerts.
Wednesday wind down.
Wednesday wind down. Yes, ma'am.
Hootie hoo. It's good to see you, Miss Bailey.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, Savannah Pollux, 6695 Church Street. I interned in the Public Services Department, and I currently attend Georgia Highlands College as a journalism major. One takeaway from my internship was that I got to work closely with a very dedicated team of people in the Public Services Department, learning about the daily operations and also working with Keep Douglasville Beautiful, KDB, the logistics of a farmer's market, Adopt a Road, and just overall gaining valuable experiences.
There's a lot going on in Public Works.
Yes, ma'am.
And Recycling Center, so you have to keep that in the forefront of your mind when
I
that comes
do,
online.
yes.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Anna
Pull the
Robinson.
microphone down, Anna.
You can pull it. Okay, I don't want to mess with it.
Okay.
Anna Robinson, 6695 Church Street. I worked in the Parks Department, and I'm a senior at Savannah State. Go Tigers. One key takeaway I learned was from a video that Director Bass, he's over there, showed to us at the beginning of my internship, is that the parks just isn't about fun, even though that's our logo, fun happens here, that having programs and activities for youth can help deter them from crime.
Good. How was the fishing derby?
Fishy.
It was fishy. You had a lot of kids fishing in that pond, and
Yeah, it was a lot of kids.
yeah, very good. Thank you, Miss Anna. This is Sue Ann Shaw's son, our deputy
ma'am.
chief. Yeah.
Ryan Shaw, 6695 Church Street. I'm a graduate of the University of Georgia, and I interned in the finance department. And my key takeaway is that you should learn all these skills and tools of whatever job you're doing. In this particular case, he's learning how to do internal budget amendments, to give an example, which I did several of those.
So you're not going to follow your mom? You have red hair like her. You're not going to be in public safety?
I'm good.
You're good? All right. Thank you.
Justin Tolbert, 6695 Church Street. I'm a senior at Morehouse College. And my biggest takeaway from this summer has definitely been learning and kind of realizing the importance of relationships between small businesses and local businesses in Douglasville and the city, the government. So, yeah.
Very good. Oh,
Did I say economic development?
you didn't tell us it was
I'm sorry
economic
about
development.
that. Economic development intern. So there we go.
Very good. Now you have to say hi to Mr. Cassius Butts. He's at Morehouse. I've done a couple of lectures at Spelman and Morehouse, so please tell him I said hello.
Yes,
Good to
ma'am, I
see you.
will.
And your golf team does really well. You all come out to West Pines.
Yeah, the golf team is really good.
Yep. they're
Yes,
good.
ma'am. Thank you.
Justin, are you related to Michael Tolbert by any chance?
I am not. I wish I was. but-
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking. Miss Kayla.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, Madam Mayor and Council. My name is Kayla Willis, 6695 Church Street, and I was the city management intern. I was a 2023 graduate of Fisk University, and I will be attending Columbia University this fall. One takeaway that I have learned that has affected both my personal life and my professional life within the city management department is to always have a goal. Without any goals, it can distract forward thinking and focused thinking, and that has allowed me to approach my tasks, my dreams, and my experiences with a goal in mind.
Very good. Now, Miss Kayla, you tell the council you have a day and all of that in your hometown that's named for you. Like, just tell us about that. Who has that as a young person?
Yes, I was granted my own day in the city of South Fulton. It is on March 19th. It was because of all the work I had achieved during my senior year of high school, and I celebrate it every year.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It's Kayla Day, March
Yes.
19th. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. HR.
Micaiah Wilson, 6695 Church Street. I was the human resources intern, and I attend Clark Atlanta University. I'm a senior majoring in accounting. And one takeaway that I have is to go into everything with a clear mind, and also to take every opportunity that is brought to you, like full circle. With me being in school for accounting and then interning with human resources, I kind of was like stuck on finance and accounting. I didn't really expand my mind to everything else that was available to me. So now that I've done the human resource internship, it's opened my mind to just see how much I can do and then wonder how much more I can do. So, yeah.
Very good. Now, CAU has you were on Married to Real Estate, and they redid the whole basketball area. Have you been in there to see it?
I haven't.
Isn't it nice?
I
Look
haven't
at that.
been yet.
You haven't been? They have
No.
haircuts and everything, a whole playing station. It's really nice. You should go sneak in there and see what's going on.
Yeah, I'm going to go this semester, but I've kind of been staying away from the sports because I know nothing. So,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Well, I was a college cheerleader, so you know what you have to do. Well,
Thank
thanks so
you.
much. Good to see you.
Thank you.
So again, Mayor and Council, we just want to thank you all for your full support of our internship program, and I'll take the liberty to say that these interns this summer have been absolutely amazing. After their presentation today, I was just raving about them and saying how we just need a copy and paste for all semesters. And I'll be remiss if I didn't recognize Kayla Willis. She served as our intern coordinator. She took great initiative, being that she was an intern last semester, and she had a lot of great ideas of how she felt we could improve our internship program. And I think we've been able to see that as evidence this summer. They go out together, they're going to lunches, they have group chats that the adults are not allowed to be a part of. So they have just fully embraced the relational aspect of the internship this summer. So it's been really a tremendous pleasure. And if you all don't mind, we'd love to get a picture, and then they will pass out their goodies to you all.
Thank you. So, Ms. Parker, I'll open the floor for council members to ask any questions if you wanted to. I know I was monopolizing the conversation, but just trying to touch base with them. Does anyone have any questions? No? All righty. Well, thank you so much. Let's give them a hand before we come around and take a photo with them. Great job, everyone.
I guess we'll have to. Mayor, can you stand right in the middle here? And then we can just spread out as we go. Let's see. We're gonna have to. Can we move? No. Okay. Yeah. Then we're gonna have to do it with this one because this is too. This is too. Yeah. All right, everyone, come on in. Let me have you over here. And if you're tall enough, yeah, let's get in the center. There we go. Perfect. Great. One more. 3, 2. Fantastic. Great job, everyone. Thank you so much.
It's a goodie bag. Thank you so much to our interns again, and we appreciate your patience for the community and how we try to feed and plant seeds into our young folks. We also have a program that Councilmember Burr Danley helped to start with high school students, where it's like a leadership class for high school students in the community. So we have a choice of across the board from all high schools in the county, not just in the city, and we bring those students together and expose them to city government as well. So thank you all for your patience. We appreciate that. Now we'll move on to our next committee, which is chaired by Councilmember Dr. LaShawn Burr Danley. It is Public Safety Committee.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're
I'd
welcome.
like to call our Public Safety Committee to order. We have 2 items tonight. The first item is consider a request for the transfer of location for the alcoholic beverage license for the on-premise site and consumption of wine and malt beverages at Spiritus Liquor at the following establishment. The current license is Red Velvet Bistro, LLC. Current address is 12377 Veterans Memorial Highway. Proposed address is 12375 Veteran Memorial Highway. Current agent owner is Ms. Phelps. Ms. Phelps, are you here? Will you please come up to the podium? And Ms. Tanisha, how are you?
Hi.
Good.
Good to see you.
So, Ms. Phelps, will you please give your name and just confirm your address for
Yes.
the record?
Hello, everyone. My name is Deja Phelps. I live at 7209 Bridget Rose. Oh, for the restaurant? Oh, 12375 Veterans Memorial Highway.
Okay. So this is a transfer of license currently from Red Velvet?
Yes.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about your experience as it relates to serving alcohol, your training. Give us.
Yeah. So, of course, when we get new employees, all the employees have to do alcohol certifications and testing. And so, of course, anytime someone comes in and they get an alcoholic beverage, of course, we check their ID to make sure they're over 21. We do not let anyone under the age of 21 can't even sit at the bar. So that are some of the policies that we've been having at the restaurant so far.
Okay, great. And how long have you been doing this?
I've been doing this for a long time. I'm trying to think.
College and
High school. I was at the old Johnny Rockets in high school. So I've been working in the food industry for a very long time.
Seems like she's old. You're still young.
Like 7, 8 years.
7, 8
something like
years,
that,
or
yeah.
something like that. Okay. So I will yield. Do you have any comments, Ms. Tanisha? Would you want to give your name and address for the record?
Yes, I'm Tadisha Force. I'm the owner of Red Velvet Bistro. This is my daughter. We work together doing business. I've been in Douglasville for a long time, and I love Douglasville. I have several businesses out here, so I just
Great.
love it.
All right, well, training well. So I will yield my comments right now and open the floor for the mayor and council, and we'll start with our mayor if you have any comments. Madam Mayor?
Thank you so much, Madam Chairman. Welcome. It's good to see, we're twinning because you all look so much alike. But it's good to see you, mother and daughter, and thank you, Ms. Forrest, for bringing T-Burgers that you've taken over the old, was that Johnny Rockets? And you've taken that as well, great. So I hear that you're doing well with the business. It's in the mall near the food court by the movie theater. So thank you for that. And you all had Red Velvet next door, so you're moving into, we appreciate you taking over that building that was vacated by the Vine and now turning that into Red Velvet. So just with that, I just wanted to ask if we had any concerns with community development or Public Works, or I know that you know exactly what you're doing, but any concerns as far as that's, Ms. Reed? No concerns? Okay, very good. And so this will be a transfer of their alcohol license?
Yes, ma'am. Just a change in location.
Just a change in location, so you still kept up with your alcohol license from Red Velvet. All right, thank you so much, and thank you again for investing in the community. We appreciate it. And you graduated from UGA.
Yes,
What's going
go
on with
Dogs.
football? Okay, there you go. All right, had to have it somewhere. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam
Okay,
Chairman.
are there any other questions? I'm sorry, Ms.
Yes.
Phelps, will you just, there are some more questions, I'm sorry. It's
Not that
okay.
easy. Not that easy.
Councilman Davis, go ahead.
Okay. Tell me again, what is the hour operation?
They change.
They changed. I'm still working on it because I'm almost finished, but probably, right now, I'm gonna be closed on Tuesdays and open 6 days a week, 11 to 8, on the weekdays and 9 o'clock on Friday and Saturday nights, and Sundays I'm gonna close at 6.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the menu will be coming out pretty soon?
Yes, sir. It'll be pretty much everybody's favorite things at Red Velvet. I have a couple of new things that I'm adding to the menu because I changed the way the restaurant looks. It's very upscale, so I want to try to take it to another level. And, everything that I learned from before that was mighty bad, and I learned customer service and food and consistency. I've changed it all to all new. Everything is new. I can't wait till you guys see it. It's like amazing. I gutted it out because this is a building that I own. I'm so excited. My first real estate deal, commercial real estate deal. So I really made it. I really, really put a lot into it. I'm almost done. I'll be done in about 4 days with everything.
Okay, good. That's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Okay.
All right, so, Ms. Tanisha, lessons learned is just another way to grow.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
That's wonderful. So on Monday, we will have a public hearing, so if there's anyone that is for or against, we'll open that opportunity for them to be here. So if you'll come back on Monday, we'll vote for that, okay?
Okay, what
All
time
right,
on Monday?
At 6 p.m.
Does she have to come too, or just
She
me?
does.
Okay.
Yes,
Monday.
because
Okay.
you're transferring it to Ms. Phelps, correct?
Yes, no. I'm the owner, and she's the agent.
But she's the one that will be checking ID and,
Yeah.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
She will have to be here.
Okay.
Yes. All right.
Thank you. We'll be back.
Thank you. We'll speak
Thank
on
you.
Monday.
Good to see you
Bye-bye.
all.
All right,
Bye-bye.
thank you. Our second item is to consider a request for alcohol beverage license for the retail package sale of wine and malt beverages and spirit liquor at the following location. Proposed license is Guyan Hospitality LLC, DBA Beyond Water and Wine Spirits. Proposed location, 991 Thornton Road. Proposed outlet manager is Mr. Patel. Mr. Patel, how are you?
Good evening. For the record, my name is Parks Huff. I'm an attorney and representing Mr. Patel in relation to this alcohol license application. I was before y'all.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Can you please state your name and your address for the record?
My name is Parks Huff. Sam's Larkin and Huff is law firm, 376 Powder Springs Street, Marietta, Georgia.
All right, great. Proceed.
Thank you. And Mr. Patel is sitting here, and he and I will both address you and answer any questions you've got. This is a piece of property that was rezoned roughly 2 years ago specifically for a package store. It's right at the interstate interchange, right before the entrance ramp. And since that time, Mr. Patel's closed on the property. He's built the store, and he has applied for the application for the license. He meets all the qualifications. I work with all my alcohol license clients to ensure that I say I want to see you when you open another business. I don't want to see you with any violations. And so I constantly remind them what they need to do. He's gone through his training. All his employees will go through training. I do like to point out that the overriding concern that we all have is underage people getting alcohol. Package stores are actually the best business for that because that's their only job. If you're in a different retail environment, you're selling food, you're selling a bunch of other things. Their only job is selling alcohol, so they should never miss properly IDing somebody, and there's no reason for anybody under 21 to be in the store. So it's real easy. If you've got a grocery store, you've got all sorts of products you're selling and all sorts of ages and a ton of employees. So he's got limited number of employees that will all be properly trained. He has the cameras, the ID system so that everybody's ID has to be entered. So if he's not there himself, he can monitor it, go back and review tape and see all that. So very, very, very aware of the importance of responsible alcohol sales. So it's a great opportunity, as we talked about during the zoning. It's a tough piece of property because the access is pretty much right in, right out. And so this type of use is actually able to make that property utilizable on the tax rolls and doing something positive because the traffic is just right in, right out. It's not a high traffic volume. It can survive in that scenario. So we greatly appreciate your time, appreciate your city staff working with the application, get it before you. And if I got 2 seconds, I would like to say this is the second time I've been here for the summer intern presentation, and I got to say that I am just, if anybody's worried about the future, listening to that for the second time, I felt like I had to say it because it just, it blows me away listening to what y'all do, putting that program together, and the people that you have in it is tremendous. So
Thank you
just
so much.
wanted to mention that.
Yes, Mr. Patel, just one moment. I just wanted to just make a comment. You're absolutely correct in regards to, we are very concerned about those that are under the age of 21 being able to get alcohol or any type of drugs. The other thing is too, is just be very vigilant, Mr. Patel, and even with your staff, that individuals that are over the age of 21, if they're coming in to purchase and they appear to be intoxicated, just be very aware of that as well. Under 21, absolutely not, but those that are over 21, I think sometimes they can abuse it, and I've actually seen individuals go into a package store that are intoxicated and have been served alcohol, and it's just been a disaster just as well. But Mr. Patel, can you please come up and state your name and address for the
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and honorable members of council. My name is Ashish Patel, and I am one of the owners of Beyond Water Wine and Spirits. For training, I've established the TIPS certification for retail sales, and we will definitely implement the same thing for all of our employees that we tend to hire. We will implement checking IDs for not just customers that look under 21, but probably for everyone that comes into the store.
Absolutely.
We tend to, I think we're going to stay open limited hours, not open late nights, not too late. I think for now, we're going to be 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., except for Sundays, be noon to 10 p.m.
All right.
And if we can even shorten the hours, if it's not too busy in the late evenings.
All right. Thank you. So you answered 2 questions. One other question, Mr. Patel, how long have you been working in this industry?
As far as liquor stores, this would be our first liquor store. We do have friends and family members that have established liquor stores, but I've been in business since I was 19 years old. So
Okay.
I've been operating hotels and restaurants for a long time.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Patel. I will yield my comments at this time and open the floor for our mayor and council. Madam Mayor, we'll start with you.
Thank you so much, Madam Chairman.
Yes,
Thank you
ma'am.
for coming this evening. We appreciate your comments. I know we did a background investigation on individuals that are seeking to have the license. So, Chief, have we had any violations? All right. Thank you. And I apologize, I forgot to ask about the other young lady. Thank you so much.
And
Thank you,
if I
Ms. Hall.
can, I forgot to mention, he lives in Douglasville and has 2 other businesses in Douglasville, so he's invested in the community. So it's in his interest, too, to make sure that the store is run well and no violations and no problems, because it affects his personal life and his other businesses.
Professional.
Thank you for
so
that comment.
That's all I have, Madam Chairman.
Councilman Davis?
Yes, I have one question, a couple of questions. Will there be tobacco items? We have cigars and cigarettes?
We do plan on doing tobacco, but we haven't applied for any kind of licenses or anything like that.
So just-
But
just-
further down, maybe, yes.
So no cigars, no, I know some of the other stores has glass cages for cigars and tobacco items. That's
We-
why I asked.
Yes, we, later down the road, we probably will provide tobacco products.
And they still have to be of age for the tobaccos and cigars.
Yes.
And the hours of operation, because you're right there on the interstate, Will there be security?
Yes, we've installed a large security system within the store and outside the store. We also will have security outside in the parking lot also.
Okay, thank you, Madam.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Patel. We will have a hearing on Monday, so there will be an opportunity for those that are for or against this license application on Monday at 6 p.m. If you will be so kind and return on Monday, we'll have that vote then, okay? Thank you so much. Madam Mayor, that is all that I have under public safety tonight.
Thank you so much, Madam Chairman. We'll move on to the next committee, which you also chair, which is Transportation Committee.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We
You're
have one
welcome.
item under transportation,
Yes, ma'am.
and I'll allow Mr. Thompson to come up for. All right, the item reads as follows. Authorize the mayor to sign the request for traffic signal applications for the Georgia Department of Transportation to permit the traffic signals located at Dallas Highway and Colquitt Street, Dallas Highway and Ellis Street, Dallas Highway and Malone Road, Dallas Highway and Malone Street. Mr. Thompson.
All right. Good evening, Madam Mayor. Oh, I'm sorry,
evening.
Marcus Thompson, 6695 Church Street, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council.
Good evening, Mr. Thompson.
So the applications before you this evening are essential for the Georgia Department of Transportation to basically officially document that we, as a city of Douglasville, will cover the electricity costs for the 4 traffic signals at the intersection that pertain to the new State Route 92 relocation and widening project. So I'll reinstate again, it's just basically a housekeeping matter for GDOT to officially document. Are there any questions or concerns?
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. So with this, Douglas County will still be maintained, synchronizing and all of that, correct?
That is correct.
All right. So those lights, I just want to give it a plus. I've seen them synchronized pretty much on time now. And with school starting, school starting today, I haven't had any complaints, and I'm just grateful that they are bright, getting better, unless the weather, and that's something we can't control. Do we have any comments from our mayor and council? I'll start with the Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, Madam Chairman. Thank you, our city engineer, Mr. Thompson. I do have a question for you, and it may involve the chief as well. I know Chief Sparks, Dr. Burdanley, and Commissioner Dobbs and I went to Gateway subdivision to talk to the citizens there. I'm not certain if these 2 Malone Road or Malone Street lights will help alleviate some of those concerns about traffic and getting in and out of that subdivision. Does it go down that far? It's near, that subdivision is right before you get to Maroney Mill, but it's in between Malone and Maroney Mill.
Yeah, I can answer that. Unfortunately, Madam Mayor, it does not. It's Malone Road right at the Shell station. So past that is Phase 4 of GDOT, which is Paulding County.
Okay.
Although we have that subdivision that's annexed into the city, and if you've driven down that road, all 4 lanes are open now. Felt really great. But unfortunately, they do not have a turn-in, a right turn-in into that subdivision. We did speak with GDOT about that several times, and that is something that they stated was on their document.
Okay.
So if you can get to the commissioner about that, because if they close that back in like they were, it's going to be very difficult for them to get in and out of that subdivision. They can't, they have to stop and make a quick stop, and all of the traffic stops behind them. There's not a right turn into that subdivision.
So this will not help to kind of mitigate some of that traffic and
No,
get
ma'am.
it controlled?
It's not on this one. That is something we can advocate for.
Okay, I'll
Yes,
call
ma'am.
Commissioner McMurray.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Any other questions? Madam Mayor, did you have anything else? I'm sorry, Councilman Davis.
Yes, I have one thing, Mr. Marcus, I don't know if you got any calls yet about it, but we have a traffic, stand-up traffic single that's been knocked down right there, 92 and Dallas Highway, and it's been down there for a while. And
A traffic light or a street sign?
the black one that's knocked down in the street.
Okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's right there, Jesse Davis and 92.
So
it's
he's,
one of those stand-up singles.
so he's,
And they
he's
have-
speaking of the sidewalk light.
Okay.
Yeah, not a signal, not like a red light. It's
The pedestrian crossing.
the pedestrian
Pedestrian
crossing,
crossing
yes,
light.
yes.
It's been down there for a while, and we've called in, and I think LaShawn have too, so.
Is it part of the renovations to the park, Councilman Davis?
No,
it's
it's-
already, somebody done hit it.
Oh, okay.
Somebody done had an accident and knocked it all down in the road.
Right, it's on the right side, and I'll send you, Councilman Davis will follow up with an email. Madam Mayor, yeah, I was going to ask for this to be put on the consent agenda. However, I think because that right turn lane, although this is still part of Highway 92, and those 4 lanes are part of Highway 92, if we could get an email to,
Commissioner McMurray?
yes, and either our transportation appointee, Dana Lemon,
Yes,
just to
ma'am.
document about that. There's no right turn into that subdivision, and then on Monday, we can vote on that. So I won't put it on the consent agenda tonight, but are there any other questions?
No, ma'am, I'll just help the city, deputy city manager and I, assistant city manager, to craft a letter to have you CC'd on it.
Yes,
or
ma'am.
be a joint person with me to send to Commissioner McMurray.
Sure.
And then attach that to the item on Monday.
Yes, ma'am, and I'll go back to the notes that we had from our meeting and send them to you and copy Commissioner Dobbs on it as well.
All right, thank
All
you
right.
so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Thompson. If there aren't any other items, that's all tonight, Madam Mayor, under transportation.
Thank you so much, and thank you to our city engineer, Mr. Thompson. We'll move on then to Economic Development Committee. That's chaired by Mr. Mayor Pro Tem Terry Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have
You're
one
welcome.
item tonight under the Economic Development Committee.
Yes, sir.
That is to consider and adopt a Resolution 1 approving the inclusion of Zotis Inc.'s capital project in the city's revised 2020 tax plan to acquire, construct, and equip an animal vaccine manufacturing, distribution, research, and development facility located in the city of Douglasville, Georgia. And 2, approving the execution and delivery of a proposed tax incentives agreement pertaining to Zotis Inc.'s capital project.
Yes, sir.
Our agenda says Mr. Chris Pumphrey will be here tonight, but that is definitely not Mr. Chris Pumphrey, but the most capable Breezy Stratton.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council.
evening,
Breezy
Breezy.
Straighten, 8512 Bowden Street, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. So before you tonight, we have the tax incentive agreement and a resolution to approve Zoetis to participate in the revised 2020 plan. As most of you know, or as all of you know, back in 2022, 2023, we revised our targeted industry sectors and added life sciences and healthcare to that. And Zoetis was the first company that we successfully recruited in that space. They are taking an existing building at 7705 Staples Drive. Most of you are aware that that is now in its 4th design. So it came to the community back in 2008 as a cross-dock distribution center for Hahn. It was then purchased by Keurig and then purchased by Bang Energy. And we believe that this is a third time's a charm situation when it comes to that. But Zoetis has plans to do a minimum capital investment of $510 million. We are bonding for $660 million, and that is because there is an anticipated phase 2 that may come along. Zoetis has multiple divisions, and I'll have Brian Cox with me here tonight from Zoetis, so I'm gonna let him tell you a little bit more about the company. But they do anticipate adding a second division into this building, and that could come along in as little as 24 months. Plus, with just the way the economy is going, we wanted to allow for any increased capital investments that they may not have projected. But it will have a minimum of 118 new jobs to the city of Douglasville with a minimum average wage of $30 an hour. As you know, one of our workforce development initiatives is to ensure that the companies that we recruit here have employment opportunities for all skill levels within the community. So they will have jobs that do not require a bachelor's degree, but that are high wage and high skilled. They have an internal training program, and then they will also have, PhD level individuals that will be here because this is a research and development operation. To that, I'm going to let Brian, Mr. Cox, come up and tell you more because he knows all of the science words.
Hey, thank you. I'm Brian Cox, 5412 Planningfield Lane in Flowery Branch, Georgia, 30542. And 7705 Staples Drive in Lithia Springs. So I'm Brian Cox. I work for Zoetis and involved with the project that we have in Lithia Springs. Zoetis is the largest animal health company in the world. We're very excited to be here in the area. Zoetis has looked for a new manufacturing site for quite a while now, and they targeted the southeast of United States. This is where we landed, and we're very glad we're here. As Breezy mentioned, the jobs that we have, probably half will be less than a bachelor's degree, but still very high-skilled jobs that are people that will be looking to fill those roles. We're excited to partner with Elevate Douglas on training and recruitment and things that we need to recruit from the local area, so we're really excited about that. The site in general, one of the kind of the anchor products that'll be there has been out in the European markets for about 2 years now. It's been very successful. The brand is Librela. It's osteoarthritis therapy. It's a monoclonal antibody for older dogs. There's also a similar for cats, other companion animals that we plan to do additionally to, but Librela is the first monoclonal that we'll have here at the site. So we're really excited about that. It's already been approved for the U.S. market. We have to wait for a site acceptance from both the FDA and the USDA. It's kind of a long process. We expect to be in commercial production mid-2027. Along with that, there will be quite a bit of packaging. We'll package from our Lincoln, Nebraska site, as well as possibly our Charles City, Iowa site as well. So it'll be a pretty extensive packaging operation to go along with that monoclonal antibody. And then as Breezy mentioned, some of the phases in the future could be vaccines and so forth. We're just not sure about that second phase yet. Any questions?
Well, thank you very much.
Sure.
First up, please excuse my mispronunciation of your company name. It's Zoetis.
Zoetis,
Okay,
yes.
Zoetis. Second, the 100 and how many? 18 jobs. How long will it take to staff those positions after you completely build out the facility? Is that immediate, or is that stretched over a certain amount of time?
Yeah, it's a scale up. So, I mean, we will hire in the very near future for the roles that we need to stand up the site, all the processes that is required to validate equipment, purchase equipment, and so forth. So that'll be a scale up. And then as we get closer to 2027, we'll hire the staff that commercial production would require.
And by then, hope for arthritic dogs and cats will be at hand.
That's right. It is available now. It's just not made at the Lithia Springs site. So yeah, your local vet would have that product most likely.
At this time, I'll open the floor to the rest of the council for any questions or comments. I'll start with the Mayor of Tributary.
I guess this is a question for Breezy, but could you just walk through the pilot portion of this just to make sure I am grasping it the way I think I am?
Yeah. So as you know, the majority of the tax incentives that we do for businesses are about build-to-suit, new construction. So when you apply the tax incentive, all of it is new increment, essentially. And so the 10-year schedule is about what's being built. This is an existing facility. It has already been on the tax rolls, and we are committed to not taking anything away from the community. We want to keep it as whole as humanly possible. So the 2024 assessment of this property has that they pay $567,683.56 annually. So that is what is due in 2024. So in order to keep both the city, county, and the school system receiving the same amount of money, in years 1, 2, and 3, they will continue to pay that amount. So they will pay what's already being assessed. And then it is estimated that as of year 4 of the incentive, the amount that they will need to pay will supersede that pilot amount. It is estimated to be $832,605. And so because that is more than the pilot amount, it is written in the documents that should that anticipated amount in year 4 not be more than 567, they will still continue to pay that.
Okay.
And the incentive is only on their real and personal property in the building. They will still pay inventory taxes, sales tax on energy, being that it's a manufacturing facility, there will be significant sales taxes on the energy that they will be consuming there.
So the end result is that there is no tax revenue lost.
Absolutely not,
And
yeah.
It will stay at least where it is currently.
Correct. And
until they start in year 4, and then it will go up from there.
right, and the way tax incentives works is that their incentive doesn't trigger until they are operational. So it is anticipated that they would receive their certificate of occupancy in 2026, which means 2027 would be their first year on a tax incentive. So they will pay that $567,000 in 2024, 2025, and 2026, and then it kicks in.
Okay, thank you, because I think it's important to clarify that. I think a lot of people hear tax incentives, and they think that we are giving money away that we are currently receiving, which in a new build is not the case because it's brand-new revenue. And in this case, it's staying the same as what it is now and then going up.
Right.
So we're not losing anything that we're currently receiving. We're just preparing this company to grow to the point where we receive even more in the future.
Right, and they are the owner of the building, so they have purchased it, and as Brian has said, they are going through the FDA and USDA federal requirements to make that facility a life science pharmaceutical vaccine facility. So that is part of the time frame. Plus the building, it's a 640,000 square foot building. They essentially kept the shell and have in the office space, but the manufacturing space, they have put significant amount of investment in because it has to come up to standards in order to meet those federal guidelines.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you, Councilman Estes. Any questions or comments from this side? Madam Mayor, you have something?
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ms. Straighten. We appreciate you bringing this to us this evening. And Mr. Cox, thank you for you and your team and Zoetis for making an investment into the city of Douglasville. We do understand, as Councilman Estes has said, sometimes it's a misnomer and people don't understand the tax incentives. We have to be competitive, and that started with Mr. Ron Wilson, who was the chair of the Development Authority years ago, to try to bring companies in, to incentivize companies to come to this area. So we appreciate, that's just a comment, I appreciate the hard work that you and Mr. Pumphrey and the team that you all do all the time to bring companies in, and to thank you all for investing in Douglasville, in Douglas County. Thank you.
We
so much.
appreciate the support of Mayor and Council of all of our strategic initiatives, so thank you so much.
You're welcome. That's all I have, Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Madam
Any
Mayor.
other questions?
Any other questions at the conference down this end? No? Okay. One last quick thing. You do list it as a research facility as well. There will be primary health research will be done at this facility as well? Or is that just sort of a?
We have internal VMRD, veterinary medicine research and development. We'll have members of them at this site as well, where they typically conduct, it won't be their main base of operations, but they can typically conduct through that and the arm of our manufacturing, for technology. They typically work within the sites that we have. There's about 30 sites around the world, and they work in all those sites for R&D and technology.
Thank you. If no other
So
questions.
phase two, I was going to, so phase two will be with the product that's in Europe right now that is going to, or no, that's
No,
just.
that's actually what's coming. That'll be
Oh.
what launches in 2027 for
Okay.
domestic markets. Yeah, phase two is unsure right now. It could be vaccines, but I'm not sure. This first round is a monoclonal antibody, and that's what's in Europe currently and in the U.S. now as of a year ago.
Okay, well, I'm sure Councilmember Miller in with dogs and my daughter's cat, Oreo, the tuxedo cat, will be happy to get some of
That's right.
these arthritic medicines for him, so thanks so much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If there's no other questions, I think this project merits the consent agenda. If there's no objections.
Doesn't look to be.
Then, without any objection, we'll place this on the consent agenda for Monday. Madam Mayor, that's all we have under the Economic Development Committee.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you all again for coming this evening. Thank you, Ms. Breezy and Mr. Cox. Thanks, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. We'll move on to Finance Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Chris Watts.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're
We
welcome.
have 3 items tonight.
Yes,
Item
sir.
A is authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with Prime Contractors, Inc. for the Ike Owens Center restroom renovation in the amount of $183,708.89. And Mr. Bass will present tonight.
Good evening, Madam Mayor.
Good evening, Mr. Bass.
Members of council, Chris Bass, 8830 Gurley Road, Parks Recreation Director. We are seeking approval to authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with Prime Construction, Inc. for the Ike Owens Community Center bathroom renovation in the amount of $183,709. If you remember, we mentioned during the SPLOST 2022 proposal that through our facility SPLOST, we would make renovations and upgrades to the Ike Owens Community Center. That facility is now over 14 years old, so it's important for us to continue to upgrade that facility. So this is the third phase of renovation at this facility. We started with renovating all of the floors throughout the facility. We've renovated the doors. We've updated all of the lighting to LED lights. So this section here will renovate all of the bathrooms within the facility. So we have those 2 public bathrooms, and then we have 1 employee restroom. So this will be that renovation for that phase. I'm happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
Anyone? Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Chris, how many square feet is this project total?
I don't have the square feet off the top of my head, but I can find out for you.
Was this competitively bid?
No, sir. So under your purchasing policy, through the cooperative procurement, you actually can utilize a company called Sourcewell to go out and handle all of cooperative bidding. So this falls under that category.
Is there a dollar cutoff on that amount, or like anything below a certain amount can be, or it's not?
Not with this, as long as it's already been pre-bid through that cooperative procurement.
One thing that concerns me is I don't see any drawings on this project. There's an inventory of a schedule of values, and that's the problem when you run into when you don't have a competitive bid, is that you don't have a reference point. If you had a set of architectural drawings, you'd have something you can compare apples to apples, and all we have is just pricing based on this contractor's estimate of each of these items. And looking at this, frankly, I think this is a little bit of a high number. $183,000 for two public restrooms and 1 private restroom.
So this is it's actually 5 restrooms total. So it's a men's and women's on both sides of the facility and the employee restroom. So now we're upgrading the current fixture. So this is not a new design.
Right, it's a renovation. It's not new construction. I understand that. You're replacing most of the fixtures is what it looks like. And then looks like you're doing some electrical
And some
plumbing work as well. But I'm a little concerned about these per unit values on here, and I think I'm just concerned having only 1 price on this, because I think I would like to see what the square footage is and what this comes out to on a per square foot basis. Because how many toilets in each of the restrooms roughly? What's your
Yes,
whole
sir.
count?
So it's 8 total on both sides. So 16 throughout the entire facility.
16, so that's probably about times. probably talking about 1,600 square feet, maybe.
So while you're doing that, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I did speak with Director Bass about the bid. And from my understanding with Sourcewell, if you can explain that to myself and council, well, you've already explained to me, but explain to the council and the ones who weren't in that committee meeting about how that's done and that company, well, you could just go ahead and explain. They do a comparative price, and they come and bring forth to us the company. But Mr. Bass, if you can explain the process, please.
Yes, ma'am. So in your purchasing policy under the cooperative procurement section, I'll read it out here. So federal, state, and county government contracts can utilize this service negotiated by other governmental agencies to fulfill the benefit of the city of Douglasville. A purchasing agent, as designed by the finance director, shall be authorized to enter into a purchasing or a contract cooperative with other governmental agencies inside or outside the state. So purchasing under these contracts may be made without public advertisement or competitive bidding if the contract was originally competitive bid, which is what Sourcewell has done. And purchases under these contracts require no formal bidding or quotes for that. So this is similar to what we've done with our playgrounds over at Fowler Field, at Hunter Park. We just recently done this with our with the shade installation at the town green.
Okay, so I understand that process, but what I don't understand though is why you don't have drawings done to lead into that, because that, so what you're basically, is you're having the contract go in and do the inventory, assess the what needs to be replaced.
Yes, sir.
And that's where to me, I think that there's potential for the process to break down. I understand it's a system that you're working under, but having that additional set of eyes on it, a trained professional who can take an inventory and assess what really needs to be changed out and what doesn't, allows you to have that check on the process. And so that's my concern. Also, I'm like I said, I'm shooting from the hip here. I'm coming up with $114 a square foot for this. That's just a very, very rough estimate, which again is a very high number for just toilet room renovations. So if we can just have some of those numbers and that information, and I'd like to see that also the information on that the system you described. If we have some documentation on that for council, if we can have that by Monday as well.
Yes, sir. And what I'll do is I'll get with Ms. Dickinson. She handled the procurement side of this because it does fall under a public services project. I'll get that information from it. But to your point, so you'll see two companies mentioned in your attachments. You hear Gordian, who represented the city, who we use to go out and actually take those measurements and do the things that you're mentioning. And then Prime Contractors is who we're using for the actual service. So, but we can provide some more information for you on this.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
One thing I'll point out, and, it's more than toilets, of course. There's, countertops are going to be
Sinks.
demoed.
I just use that number to use that as a basis for calculating
Gotcha.
square footage. That's all.
Gotcha. And so there's a lot going to be done.
Yes, sir.
Just so the public doesn't think that we're spending that much money on toilets. There's a lot of stuff that's going to be done in those bathrooms, from electric, painting, tile, all those things. So, anyway, did you say, Mr. Bassett, you do have access to drawings? that
Yes,
you
what
could
I'll
add
do is
to
get
this?
with Ms. Dickinson and get with Gordian, the company who took the information for us, and we'll see what more details we can provide on Monday.
Thank you.
I'll just leave this item on the agenda for Monday. All right, thank you, Mr. Bass. And item B, authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with Azimuth Contractors, LLC for RFP 2024-003, Stewart Mill Road at Heritage Valley Drive, intersection improvements in the amount of $91,140.47. And Mr. Thompson is going to bring this one.
All right, good evening again, Madam Mayor and Council. So this project before you this evening, it addresses the safety concerns at the intersection of Heritage Valley Drive and Stewart Mill Road that's adjacent to the Kohl's Shopping Plaza. As you're aware, we've been receiving a lot of complaints of vehicles making that illegal left-hand turn. If you can see on page, the existing conditions drawings on page 52, you can see how easy it is to just go around that concrete island. So, and then if you go to the next page, you can see you can compare the existing concrete island to how we're going to extend it further north on Stewart Mill Road. The project also consists of new striping, signage, directional arrow, overhead signs, span wire to hold those signage. And yeah, that's pretty much it. For this project, we received 3 proposals. We decided to go with Azimuth Contractors. We felt that they had the most complete proposal, as well as good experience. We also did our due diligence and reached out to the city of Johns Creek, and they had nothing but good things to say about this company, especially the mayor of Johns Creek and also the residents. They said they're good with staying within budget, on schedule, and they use proper equipment, and just overall was a good company to work with. So we feel confident in this group to proceed with this project with. Are there any questions or concerns?
So they were the low bid, but they had the best proposal.
Yes, sir.
So-
The most complete proposal.
Any questions or comments on this item? Madam Mayor, go ahead.
Only comment is I want to thank staff and Mr. Thompson for bringing this item to the forefront. I know Ms. Cindy Welch has talked to us a lot about this, and I was on a ride-along today with our Community Development Director, Ms. Shayla Reed, and Public Works, Mr. Roberts, and someone was making an illegal left turn coming out of Kohl's in front of a city vehicle. So it's a dangerous area. So we appreciate you all bringing this to the forefront and helping us to alleviate this problem of people making that illegal left turn coming in that area for Heritage Valley over by Kohl's. So thank you so much, Mr. Thompson. I know, and thank Mayor Bearberry over at Johns Creek.
Any other questions? I said earlier I was going to be really disappointed if she wasn't. But any other questions or comments? And I thought about leaving it on the agenda since she's not here, but I'm not going to. I'd like to place this item on a consent agenda for Monday night, if that's okay.
It looks good, Coach.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Thompson, stick around. Item C, authorize the mayor to sign change order 14 with Reeves Young LLC in the amount of $223,362.26 for the Jesse Davis Park project for the addition of a fiber line from the new gymnasium to the pavilions and pool buildings to support additional security cameras. Mr. Thompson.
Yeah, so this fiber line that we're looking to add is from the gymnasium, and it will help us add security cameras, basically just overall security for the east part of the property that's near the basketball courts, the pavilion areas, near the pool facility, and let's see what else, and the playground areas and stuff like that. Also, in addition to that scope, we're also looking to add more cameras to the gymnasium, also include an intrusion system for the gymnasium, the proposed senior center, and also the proposed community center. In addition to those items, so there were camera systems and access controls proposed for this project. However, after discussions with our IT crew and our contractor, we came to the conclusion that what was proposed is not compatible with what we have citywide as far as access controls is concerned and the overall system for the cameras. So it includes us basically going with the system that's compatible with citywide infrastructure. Are there any questions or concerns?
Any questions or comments, Madam Mayor?
I do. Thank you so much, Coach. So looking at the contract, there is going to be a 35-day window to have this change order number 14 done because of the fiber that has to be added, correct?
That's correct, for them to cut the road and add the conduit for the fiber.
Okay, so you were talking about some of the areas that cameras will be installed. Well, and you did say the basketball course. Will this help in the area to light up more where the chief has the midnight basketball games? Is that the same area or is not, it's too far away? That's
yeah.
at the old Goree building.
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about, Chief? Oh, you play inside. So it should affect that area. You're going to have more.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the last question is about the card reader door access. Is that going to be installed, or this is just helping the capability to have that in the future?
Yes, that's going to be installed as well. Let's see. So if you look on page 8, the first paragraph, it gives a little bit more
card
details
readers.
on where exactly we're adding those card readers.
Okay, so that'll be good. And so we have a vibrant senior community in that area, playing games and all that. So it has something here about TVs in the senior citizen area, as well as the card readers at the senior center. Okay.
Yeah, so we'll be adding basically overall 25 card readers, 6 for the gymnasium, 8 for the community center, and 3 for the senior center, 2 for the restroom pavilions, and 5 for the pool facility.
5 for the pool.
Yeah.
Okay. All righty. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
Yes,
Thank you,
ma'am.
Coach.
Any other questions or comments? So this is going to push
I know, push it down the road.
to put possibly November,
Yeah, I'll say the end of November.
but it has to be done, so anyway, we're still in the fall timeline, but, all right, thank you. If there are no other questions or comments, I'm going to ask this to be placed on the consent agenda for Monday. Madam Mayor, that's all I had tonight under finance.
Thank you so much, Coach. We appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
Thank you.
Our city engineer. We'll move on to item 9, which is Housing and Community Affairs Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Howard Estes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Housing and Community Affairs Committee has no business this evening.
Thank you, Councilman Estes. Item 10, Legislative and Intergovernmental Committee, chaired by Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Terry Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have one item under the Legislative and Intergovernmental Committee tonight, which is to authorize the mayor to sign an intergovernmental agreement with Douglas County regarding the T-Splost.
Yes, sir.
And our Assistant City Manager, Ms. Chelsea Jackson, will be describing this for us.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. This is an intergovernmental agreement between Douglas County, the city of Douglasville, the city of Austell, as well as the city of Villa Rica to enter into an agreement to call for a election for the special tax or a special district for T-Splost, and to use that, it's a 1% T-Splost tax that'll be imposed, and it's a sales tax that'll be used in that manner, much like the Splost tax that you all have done, and it's for 6 years.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments from council? Madam Mayor?
I was just going to say the T-Splost, for citizens who may not know, that T stands for transportation. So transportation tax for a penny, which will be from folks who shop in the community. It's not just the citizens, a tax on citizens, but it's to everyone who pays when you go to Kroger, Publix, Walmart, the mall. Anyone who comes in the community and purchases, that penny will go to the county, that will make a dissemination and distribute those monies between ourselves, Austell, and a little bit of Villa Rica.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and so for transportation, to help ease with the roads and to do some upgrades. And so there will be a list that the county will provide. The city has already presented our projects to the county when we had our joint meeting with the other cities. And if the citizens, when they go to vote in November, they can see all of that information before they make their decisions. So I just want to clarify that transportation plus will be for the entire county, but it would be not just the burden of the citizens who live here, but anyone who comes and shops in the area. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Any other comments or questions, concerns? Something to consider, which I know there's obviously a lot of concern in the community out there regarding infrastructure in relation to the rate of growth in the city and the county. And this is perhaps the best way to deal with that growth. I mean, it's actually a fairly economical way and almost a fairly painless way of raising the funds that will address a lot of the infrastructure issues that we're having. So this is that opportunity. So.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're
If
welcome.
there is no objection, I'd like to place this on the consent agenda for Monday.
Looks good.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you
That's all I
so
have under
much.
the Legislative and Intergovernmental Committee.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, and our Deputy City Manager, Ms. Chelsea. We'll move on to Personnel and Organization Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Howard Estes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business this evening for the Personnel and Organization Committee.
Thank you so much, Councilman Estes. We do have Business and Planning and Development Committee, and that's chaired by Councilmember Nicole Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome.
We do have a couple of items this evening.
Mm-hmm.
The first is item number 24-261. That's to consider a request for final plat approval for the purpose of establishing the 121-unit townhome community of Chestnut Grove on 13.28 acres on Van Sant Road in the land lots 902, 909, 910 in District 18, Section 2, parcel ID 090-218-20018. Application by Starlight Homes, and Mr. James Gordon is going to go over this item with us.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. James Gordon, 6695 Church Street. This is a new townhome committee. It's on Van Zandt. It's right at the edge of the city limits. And this is 121 units. It has a density of, they have 65% of the smaller unit. Those units are over 1,400 square feet. They have 35% of the larger units, which are over 1,700 square feet. And we do have the developer here with us, so we'll both take any questions you may have.
Thank you for that, Mr. Gordon. Council, did you guys have questions or concerns for Mr. Gordon? Madam Mayor?
I did. Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Mr. Gordon, I know with this development, we also talked about garages, and there is a percentage of the townhomes who have 2-car garages and and a percentage that has 1-car garage. So to prevent some of the concerns that citizens have brought forward to us about townhomes and parking on the street. So there is a provision to have their cars not be on the street and block traffic and be unsightly aesthetically, but to have garages for the residents to park their vehicles in.
Correct. The 65% is the 1-car units.
Yes, sir.
And the 35% is the 2-car units. And then there is spaces on the site also.
Yes, sir. All right, so that's all I want to bring forward. I know the chief had, we talked about this at length and how we can have flock cameras and have a car reader, license reader at this development as well, trying to heighten more security and safety in the community. So this is one of the developments that has come forward that we were talking about some of those issues with as well. But that's all I have, Madam Chairman.
Okay,
Thank
and
you, Mr.
now,
Gordon.
refresh my memory, because I know when we talked about this earlier, are we good on conditions, Coach? Okay. Council, were there any other questions? Did y'all have any questions of the applicant?
Once he probably gives us an overview, we may have some more questions.
Mayor Pro Tem, are you raising your hand? or-
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just gonna beat the dead horse again. This is another development with a one-way in and one-way out. And I'm sure that we've had the traffic study that indicates that, you know, it's acceptable, and it's gonna have a marginal effect on the traffic on, Van Zandt Road. But as the problem that we're running into is that we don't have cumulative traffic studies. There's no procedure, there's no process by which you can do, when you have 3 or 4 developments that get built over time, no single developer is responsible for, obviously, looking at the overall traffic. That's got to have to come back on us. And I think we need to start finding a way to look at traffic from a holistic standpoint, not, not a piece at a time. So we've got to, this is going to have a 0.5% increase in traffic, fine, that's not, but the next development's going to have a 0.5%, and the next one after that's going to have a 0.5% development. And that's when suddenly you have a 20% increase in traffic. But nobody, it's the pot, it's the frog in the pot. Doesn't notice the water's boiling over time because it's gradual. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not providing any solution here for it. I'm just griping, I guess. But I think it's
don't
something we've got to
disagree
think
with
about.
you, but I think that the time to speak those concerns would probably not be on the final plat approval. So that's definitely something that I think going forward, though, that we need to be more observant of when we're in those initial phases.
We need, I think we need to send the shot across the bow at some point.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Council, are we good on this now?
Do you want the developer to do some
All
overview?
right. Well, I wanted to make sure y'all didn't have any more questions on that. Would you like to come up, and if you'll just give us your name and address for the record?
Sure. Bart Pierce, Ashland Woods Homes, Starlight Homes, 3820 Mansell Road, Suite 300, Alpharetta, Georgia, 30022. Yeah, we're super excited about this Starlight, Madam Mayor and Council. We're super excited about this development here on Van Sant Road, Chestnut Grove. The development went pretty smoothly, came in on time and under budget, which is a feat in and of itself these days. So yeah, like James said, it's 121 townhomes. The 22-foot wide townhomes, we have 78 units there. And then we also have 43 24-foot townhomes, which equal the percentages that Mr. Gordon said. And so, yeah, and we'll have a nice amenity area, which is already under construction. It'll have a playscape for the children, and it'll have a dog park with a watering station too. So, and I'm a Georgia grad, so go Dogs. But with that, I'll open it up, and if you have any questions or concerns.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I know we've talked about this multiple times now. Council, did you guys have any questions for the developer here? Councilman Davis, were you asking something?
I was just contemplating, the residents, have you met with the residents in the area?
I'm sorry.
Residents in the area, have you met with them?
I've talked to a few residents that back up to us. Yes, sir. And we, a business owner as well.
Thank you. Was that all, Mr. Davis? Yeah.
That's it, Councilman. That's all you have?
Yeah, okay. I don't have any further questions at this time, but I'd rather not put this on the consent agenda, so let's bring this back up on Monday.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Beer.
And thank you, Mr. Gordon.
Thank you.
Our next item is item 24-249. That's to consider a petition to annex 10.21 acres at West Stewart Mill Road and Stewart Mill Road in Land Lot 11, District 1, Section 5, Parcel ID 001101502222, application by Stewart Mill Holdings. And Ms. Shayla Reed is going to go over this item with us.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Shayla Reed, Community Development, 6695 Church Street. The item before you is an annexation request, but if I can have just a little time to go over the process with you, you would have received information from me on yesterday that outlined what the process is, and I just want to kind of reiterate those statements over to you. So as you know, we bring an application to you to say, there's been conversations brought from a property owner wishing to annex into the city. How would you deem us to receive that application? If you say, yes, we can receive it, we then inform the applicant. They're able to submit the application over to us, and then we go through the process of reviewing it, confirming that it's accurate and ready for us. And then from there, we send it over to the county being the Board of Commissioners as well as the school system. We give 45 days for the Board of Commissioners to give us a response back. The response is usually an objection or it's just confirmation that they have no objections. If there's an objection, DCA does step in, the Department of Community Affairs at the state level. They will step in and they will have arbitration where there's a board that kind of has that conversation to see how we can meet in the middle so that the annexation can take place. But if there's no objections, it moves straight into what we're doing now, which is having our public hearings, having it at the planning commission level as well as council level. And then after that, our great city clerk's office communicates it over to the state to confirm that the annexation has been finalized after your vote. So if you're okay, I'll go into the annexation request for tonight. Awesome. Okay, so tonight there is an annexation request for townhomes and single-family detached, 91 units, as mentioned, located on Stewart Mill. This is about 10 acres. There, if annexed into the city, it will be in Ward 1. Currently, the county has it as PRDC. They're asking to come into the city with PUD. And it's currently undeveloped and is asking for there to be medium density, would actually meet what's around in that area. So what they're asking for does meet that level of density according to how the comprehensive plan is outlined. The county did not provide an objection to us. They just provided a response that they have no objections at the state level, meaning the state gives reason as to what the objections could be. So with that, that concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Reed.
Sorry.
Coach, do you have a?
Well, Ms. Reed, did y'all ever determine the county's zoning on that property, whether or not it was more or less density than what is being requested?
Understood. So the county's density for it right now is zone PRD that allows for 8 to 10 units per acre for that particular zoning. But as I was explaining earlier to Councilwoman Miller, unless I have that exact staff report in front of me, I cannot outline exactly what the county gave permissions for that particular site. I would have to see if there's conditions placed, if it's allowed to have additional units of acre than what the code says. So I would have to have that exact case in front of me.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that. I know that I'm still a little confused about this on how there were no objections, but then there was. So do we have any clarification on that? Yes.
Yes, so I actually spoke with the fire chief. He was actually in the conference center when I walked in, and he called the fire marshal as well. So they have no objections with this annexation as well as with the entire development, and they said it would not affect service for the fire department. I will also, I know we're going to follow up with him to get that in writing so we can attach that to your agenda item on Monday, but we did speak with both individuals as well as the Deputy County Administrator, Tiffany Stanley Stewart, as well.
Okay. I appreciate that information so much. That clarifies a little and muddies a little bit for me. Councilman Estes, you looked like you had a question.
I do. So, Ms. Reed, you're saying that the county had no opposition to this?
No, they didn't. So
And yet we have a resolution spelling out their opposition to it attached to this?
So they have concerns. Concerns and objections are two different things. They, of course, will have the ability to state how they feel about an annexation, so that's their opinion, but the state gives room for what an official objection can be. So they have not met what the official objection at the state level is. They may have concerns and opinions, but they can definitely state that.
So what would constitute an official expression of opposition?
So if the state, for example, levels of service could be one. If the county says they have concerns about level of service, they can put that in writing, and they provide that over to the state. The official objection goes to the state, which is DCA. DCA then provides a response as to how we must hold and pause for a second until a panel is created, and that panel hears both sides of the request, and they determine how or assist us how we can move forward for both bodies, for the county as well as the city.
So obviously, that's why in this resolution, it says, whereas there are narrow grounds for which the county can statutorily object.
Right.
But something doesn't feel right to me about this, because I'm hearing from people with the county that there are major concerns with fire department and the services that are possible.
Right.
And yet, Ms. Jackson, you're saying that the fire chief says, no, there's no problem. So there's a disconnect somewhere in this that is bothering me.
It really is.
Ms. Reed, may I?
Of course.
So I want to share with you the actual statute regarding annexation disputes to hopefully differentiate we don't like this versus legally we're going to contest this. Because that's what an objection is under state law with the Department of Community Affairs. So the OCGA 3636-113 has the objections as being a material increase in burden upon the county directly related to any one or more of the following: the proposed change in zoning or land use, or the proposed increase in density, or the infrastructure demands related to the proposed change in zoning or land use. Anytime the county is getting one of these applications for their review for either an objection or no objection, they're looking at those three categories specifically. And it is a very narrow legal window of what you can consider. So the question that came up about density, the density for the county for this application is actually less under the present application that's going to be the next agenda item.
Correct.
It's at the current allowance that the county has, which is the PRD with conditions, was originally done for apartments.
Does
And
that
I
mean
believe that the applicant will have a little bit more information to share about that.
Does that mean that the county has to provide a statistical analysis for their, as part of their opposition? They can't just simply say, you know, our fire department can't handle this. They have to provide some sort of an analysis that's,
If they assert that, they'll eventually have to substantiate it, but you don't have to have a graph or anything when you file your objection.
Gotcha. So I go back to my previous soapbox, which was, you know, the frog in the pot. You know, you have one development here that is gonna, will only marginally affect the fire and emergency services, and the next development down the street will only marginally affect the fire and emergency services, but before you know it, you know, you're talking a real issue. But the county statutorily can't do anything about that because they have to analyze each development separately.
Well, and for the statute goes on to say delivery of services may not be a basis for a valid objection, but it could be used in support of a valid objection. So again, like Mr. Dodson says, you have, maybe they have to really break down that statistical analysis of 911 calls and response and that sort of thing. But as Ms. Jackson shared, the fire chief himself has confirmed that that will not be a burden on that system. So if that were a basis by itself, they have now said otherwise and confirmed otherwise for your benefit.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Thank you,
Madam
Mr.
Mayor.
Bernie. I don't know if you were here when I gave the instructions, but if you, yes, sir, if you have concerns, once we have opened it up for public comments, then you can come forward and make statements. But we ask that you would do that to the committee chairperson. So just for the council's information, the county has sent an objection letter to another development for annexation that I received earlier this week. So if they felt like this was something that they wanted to object, I guess in that same manner, they would have sent an objection letter. So they did not send one. We did have a conversation with our staff, and our deputy city manager, Ms. Jackson, reached out to the fire chief. The fire chief, Allen, met myself, the assistant city manager, deputy city manager, and specifically talked about these two projects and said that they meet coverage, and there was not a concern. Of course, there's workforce concerns all over, and we know that first responders all over the country are issues, but he specifically said that they would not have an objection, and it was not a burden on the fire department to cover a development if we were to consider this development. Okay. So there could be conversations, Right. Like Councilman Estes says, it may be a feeling that commissioners have, but the data does not support what the fire chief is saying, and he's over the fire department. So
I mean,
that's
I-
something they have to have a conversation about.
I understand that, but I need
didn't quite take
I need some more information, because I've heard
Right.
things that don't,
I'm not disagreeing with you at all, but that's why, I mean, we have until Monday
Yeah.
to hash it out and figure out what's going on with it. And just to make sure that we're understanding this correctly, I mean, it's currently zoned PRD.
Correct.
So it could be used as, someone could go in right now and build apartments.
Correct.
And there would be no zoning change needed, and there would be virtually nothing that, even if it stayed in the county, there's not anything that they could do to stop that development, because it's properly zoned for that
For
type
apartments.
use. Yes, Coach.
I mean, we've been talking about item B, and we've been kicking around item C. Item B is just to consider annexation, which we do not have to agree to when it comes to that. So this is just to allow the process to play out as far as annexation.
Correct. Annexation is just as any decision you have the authority to decide upon.
Right. But, I mean, they already came and we said, yes, they can do it. And so it already went to the county, it already went to our planning development, and now it's come back to us to make that decision. Yeah. Okay. At this time, would the applicant like to come down and talk to us about this? If you'll just give us your name and address for the record, please. Sure. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members
evening.
of council. My name is Steve Rothman with the law firm of Wilson, Brock, and Irby, 2849 Paces Ferry Road, Atlanta, Georgia, 30339.
Yes, sir.
And I'm joined by my client, Stewart Mill LLC. The humans that are involved is Jeff Matthews and Stephen Wilson. And then, sounds like a lot of your questions might be directed to the engineer who's with me also, is Aaron McCullough. And so we can answer questions. I don't want to get into the next item, but I'm going to a little bit, then we can move quicker. But first of all, just want to say my client would like to come into the city, and we ask that you'll support this annexation. And the reason for that is, from their perspective, is that right now, our understanding is it's zoned for 111 or more apartments in that range. And the proposal we have, which you'll hear next, is 91 units. So it's knocking off, it's 10 acres, so it's knocking off a density of 2 units per acre. And doing townhomes, mostly townhomes, 84 townhomes, 7 detached single-family units. And we just feel like that proposal is more in line with the values in the community of the city of Douglasville. And so they would like to come into the city for their residents and for the way they want to develop this land. And I think my last 2 points, which bleed into the next discussion, which is, I think you said it exactly right, Ms. Miller, which is you're going to provide fire services, which the county has approved for 111 senior apartments, or you're going to provide fire service for fewer. And we feel like it's just more tasteful, the density is more appropriate. And so also, I heard this before, for what it's worth, every unit will have 2-car garages. It's less dense, and we're able to provide some of those kind of things. And so with that, unless there's questions for me or the team, I will say this, since we're talking annexation, I agree with what your attorney has told you. The process has been followed here. It meets all the requirements. So the floor for annexation has been met, and I think it's just soundly in your discretion. And we'd ask that you support our coming into the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor and Council, did you have any questions or comments for him? No. Mr. McCullough, do you have anything to add to that? If you'll just give us your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Aaron McCullough, HRC Engineer, 6554 Church Street, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. That's a long introduction to say essentially, pursuant to the annexation, unfortunately, I do not have anything to add to that. Maybe on the next item I will.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Guys, are y'all good with moving on then to the next item? All right. We just want to stay here all day. That's the goal here. All right, next item, item number 24-224 is to hold a public hearing and consider a request for a change in zoning from PRD C to PUD City for 10.21 acres located at the intersection of Stewart Mill Road and West Stewart Mill Road in Land Lot 11, District 1, Section 5, parcel ID 001101502222, application by Stewart Mill Holdings, LLC. Ms. Shayla Reed.
Thank you. So this rezoning request is in conjunction to the annexation request that was just previously presented to you. The applicant is asking for 91 units, which consist of 84 townhomes and 7 single-family detached homes. Again, it would be in Ward 1 if allowed to be a part of the city. They're requesting to rezone from the county's PRD to PUD, which is our zoning. And again, it's going to have a medium zone, density for its future land use. During the July 9th Planning Commission meeting, your Planning Commission did recommend approval of this request.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Does the applicant want to add anything to this before we open this public hearing?
Thank you. I will introduce myself again, Aaron McCullough, HRC engineer, 6554 Church Street, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. So I'd like to talk about the property and the project just a little bit, if you don't mind, to give a little context to what we're proposing on this property. It's 10.2 acres. It is at the intersection of West Stewart Mill and Stewart Mill. Mm-hmm. And as Ms. Rita said, it is a medium density in the future land use area. And if you've got a map in front of you, on the north side, those are medium density zoned neighborhoods. To our west, up along West Stewart Mill, there are some apartment projects that have a bit higher density zoning on those as well. And then to the south of us, below Stewart Mill Road, that's where you have a little bit more blend of lower density single-family homes. Mm-hmm. So we do have 91 units, 84 are attached, 24-foot wide, 2-car garage attached units, and 7 detached units, same 2-car garage on all of those. We did prepare a traffic study as required by the zoning application. That traffic study did not indicate any off-site improvements. The levels of service for all surrounding intersections were at or above acceptable service levels. We do have 2 access points into our site and exiting our site. The main entrance is on West Stewart Mill Road. That will be a full entrance. That is a left turn and a right in, right out as well. The second entrance is our secondary entrance, which will be a right in and right exit only on Stewart Mill Road. The reason for the right in and right out only is because of the proximity to the red light there. Having a full access left out of that, we believe that would have been a traffic concern, so we wanted to alleviate that with that right in, right out as well. So with that said, I will be glad to entertain any questions.
Thank you very much. Mayor Pro Tem, I'm looking at you. I know you've got something to say.
This is my ward. The irony here is I actually don't think that the plan is that bad. It's actually a pretty decent layout. I mean, the way you have it is I mean, I appreciate the fact you've got 2 entrances, even if it's one of them is restricted, but you have 2 access points into this mini neighborhood. I like the density. Actually, I think that's a good way of. I don't like the idea of garages on the front, but I guess there's not much we can do about that. And these are all, I don't see any alleyways here, so. The problems, though, I think you're running into is if you pull back, and I know you point out there's a number of apartment buildings down this, which give you a higher density because of the very nature of apartments. But if you look at the property map of that immediate area and you see that there's nothing like this in the immediate vicinity. And these are all single-family detached houses in all of the neighborhoods on every side of that. So there really is a disruption in the terms of the fabric of that particular area. And I think that's going to, and it's still going to, and then it's going to come back to what I said before. I appreciate you had a traffic study. Great. You have to have that, and it makes sense. But you don't have to have the traffic study for the next development that's going to want annexation a quarter mile down the road, and you don't have to have a traffic study for the next annexation that's going to be, an eighth of a mile in the other direction. These are all going to start coming together, and that's where the infrastructure isn't designed for that accumulation over time. It's designed to take this. You're absolutely right. There's no question that your statistics will bear it out. But our responsibility as the governing body is to start looking at the bigger picture here and figure out how are we going to accommodate each annexation, each new development that comes at us. How do we plan for that? I mean, I wish I had the answer to that. I'm not pretending that I have, but I know that there is a way to start looking at this from a more holistic standpoint and start to figure out how do we accommodate, or how do we score the developments that are coming at us, not just here, but the next one and the next one and the next one. So that's, maybe our city manager and assistant city manager have a technique for us that, there's something in one of those planning conventions that's teaching you how to do this, but you need to share it with us when you find out.
We'll make sure we do so.
What's that?
I said, we'll make sure we do so. And we have a lot of planning documents that are coming forth. So hopefully that, talks about some innovative ways that we could do so.
Let's start thinking about that. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Councilman, if you don't mind, I would like to address one thing that you mentioned there, not pursuant to the traffic items, but specifically, these are, and I did not address this when I was referring to the project a minute ago, all of the attached units are rear entry units. So all of these face the perimeter of the property. The detached will have front-facing garages.
It wasn't clear from the,
I'm sorry, yes, it's not quite clear there, but
Yeah.
yes. And the renderings that we did provide are stock photos of patterns, color, et cetera, et
That's the ones you
cetera.
got out of the magazine.
And that could be a bit misleading. Those are not, these are all rear entry attached units, sir. Okay.
like I said, I mean, I
I
don't
hope
have
that
a lot of-
alleviates your concerns just a little bit.
I don't have a lot of issue with the actual design. I mean, I think you've done a good job in terms of coming up with the specific design. Just the question that I think before us is it appropriate to where you want to locate it?
Thank you.
And if I can just add something to your concerns, again, it's Steve Rothman, 2849 Paces Ferry Road is my address. You had said, how do we evaluate these things? And I think one of the things you do, you balance city policies, but you do an individual assessment of every piece of property. And something to keep in mind here is that this property is valued allowing apartments. And so that's another burden. If it was just vacant land zoned, one lot for every 2 acres, then I think there's more discretion maybe if you wanted to keep a more of a homogeneous pattern. But here, there's been a decision made in the current zoning has senior living 111 units. And so that feel of the neighborhood, maybe because of the intersection, for whatever reason, there was a choice to make that. So now the landowner is, or the purchaser is dealing with the current zoning and the values that go with that. And so that's part of the individualized assessment that I think Ms. Reed does in every case with her 6 items. And so you're balancing city policies and an individualized assessment. But I'd ask you to keep in mind, this is essentially a downzoning from a income flow perspective. And so we'd ask you to just consider that also, besides the design stuff that that Mr. McCullough is focused on.
You're making an assumption that every decision that came before us was a correct one. That's a big assumption.
I always make that assumption.
I guess from a legal standpoint, you have
Madam
to-
Mayor, did you have something to say?
I did. Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Cox and Mr. McCullough. I did have a question about the actual townhomes, and I'm not certain if this is the appropriate forum to say this, but would they be fee simple or rentals? And the same question for the homes.
All units, 91 units, they are intended to be fee simple for sale units with 91 individual homeowners. Yes, ma'am.
For sale. All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you,
you.
Madam Chairman. That's
Okay.
all I had.
Thank you very much. If there weren't, Coach, yes, sir.
Just, I thought I did see somewhere in there that there would be a rental cap if someone were to buy it and then choose to rent it. Did I see that correctly? That a 10%
I'll let Mr.
rental
I
cap?
believe that there is, in the covenants and the restrictions, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean,
10%.
I mean, that's.
Yes.
Yes, that sounds good to me.
There will be covenants on the,
Okay.
my name is Steve Rothman.
Yeah.
There will be an HOA declaration. The covenants, we think is going to be 10%. It'll be below 20%, but the 10% is the minimum you can do. So there will be covenants that prohibit
Okay.
renting.
Thank you for that. Okay. Guys, at this time, let's go ahead and open that public hearing, please. So if we have anyone here who would like to speak for or against this item, if you'll come on down and give us your name and address for the record, please.
Thank you for coming, Mr. Burney. We appreciate you being concerned citizen. Love to hear your comments.
Good evening, Barney Young Jr., 7049 Rose Lake Circle, Douglasville, 30134. So in this past election cycle, I was the campaign manager for Terry Searcy. And one of the biggest things that we heard from the community was there was like a lot of concern about the growth. And one thing that we came up with as part of his platform was to do a moratorium on building. He proposed a moratorium on townhouses, apartments, and warehouses. And then the county has just adopted a 90-day moratorium. So I'd just like to ask the board, ask you all, the city council, to consider following the county's lead and doing the moratorium so we can sit back and maybe look at that traffic study that Mayor Pro Tem Miller mentioned. I think it's a really good idea because we've had a lot of growth here, and there are a lot of units. The schools are struggling to keep up. I know the Douglasville City Police have openings. The county has openings. The county sheriff has openings. The fire has openings. So of course the services are being stretched in. So I really think it's time to take a step back, do the moratorium, and just start planning out a little bit better. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mr. Young. And if I can, I'll go ahead and share with you, in my time that we've been on council, or that I've been on council, Mr. Young, we have actually had a few moratoriums, but when we've done those, it's not been just a broad moratorium. It's been because we needed to address something. If we needed to look at a certain zoning or a certain code, that's when we've done those moratoriums so that we could address those things. And also, if we were to enact a moratorium at this time, it would not stop any of these applications that we're looking at right now, because you have to run through all of the applications. So say we were to enact a 90-day moratorium starting next month, all of the applicants who have already submitted, we would still have to hear all of those applications. So it's something a little bit bigger than that. But I do thank you very much for that comment.
That's all understood, for instance.
Mr. Burney, Mr. Young, if you can come forward, I apologize. I want you speaking from the audience, and you're making a second appearance, but I guess you are talking back to the chair.
Yeah, so more specifically, there is a development that they have not made application for, I don't think yet, that's right behind my neighborhood. That's for 450 apartments and 300 townhomes or something like that, right, which is huge. So.
Okay, so probably with this item, we're specifically dealing with the Stewart's Mill one.
Yeah.
So if you want to
I
come
was just
back-
saying, but
Yes,
this
sir.
particular one is just making me think about the moratorium.
Yes, sir.
I'm just saying in response to the applications that are already
Yes.
there. I understand that.
Yes, sir.
But I'm just talking about the future ones.
Yes, sir. You can come back during citizens' comments and delegates if you want to talk to us about
Thank you.
any other development. So,
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, guys, if there were no more comments regarding this item, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Council, did you guys have any questions or any other questions or comments for the applicants? No. With that being said, guys, I say we take this item up on Monday.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you guys for being here this evening. It's like an infomercial, but.
We're on item D.
Next item, item 24-227, that says to hold a public hearing and consider proposed amendment to the Unified Development Ordinance For subsections 2.02, 8.01, and 13.02 to provide clarification regarding data center usage. And Ms. Shayla Reed is going to go over this item with us. Thank you,
Yes,
Ms. Reed.
ma'am. Thank you. You may recall this came before you all. We asked for it to go to the Planning Commission, and then the Planning Commission heard the item, and we're bringing it back to you to request for adoption. During the time of us bringing it to you, everything seemed to be okay with the request. Of course, there's a table change that we're making, clarifying where data centers are allowed versus not. There's a definition that we had provided that was the one concern that was had as to whether that definition was a little too inclusive and wasn't spelling out what a data center was. So we went to another city's UDO and found an example of what a data center would include. So we have put that information inside of your text amendment before you. In addition to that, NAICS code, of course, that's what we're using during our business license processing or during our UDO usage. We're clarifying the language there as well. And then lastly, of course, you've seen a number of variances coming your way for this particular use, and that's because this particular use does not have a large number of employees, nor does it have the truck usage that you would normally see with this size of a development. So we're asking to reduce that requirement to allow for the variances to reduce from a request. So with that, staff is requesting that you consider this application for this amendment, as well as the Planning Commission recommended approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. Council, do you guys have questions of Ms. Reed regarding this item? I can't. Yes.
I don't have a question, I just have a comment and say, hallelujah, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Guys, since this is a public hearing, we're going to open the floor if there's anyone who would like to speak on this item, but of course this pertains only to this item concerning the data centers. And if we don't have anyone, I'm going to go ahead and close that public hearing. And if there are no further questions, we'll take this item up on Monday. Ms. Reed, thank you so much for explaining this and getting this done for us.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Oh, shoot. August 1st. Last one. Item number 24-257 says refer to the Planning Commission a proposed ordinance to amend Articles 10, 11, and 12 of the Unified Development Ordinance regarding Georgia's zoning procedures law.
Thank you. I'm actually going to defer over to Miranda. We partnered together to get this over to you. So I'm going to start with her first, and then she'll pass it back to me.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Miranda Jordan, 6695 Church Street, staff attorney. So this was a collaborative effort between engineering, community development, and the legal department that we've been working on for a while, and it is a rather lengthy amendment. At this time, we're just going to be asking council to refer this to the Planning Commission. So it is in its final form, and we hope that that referral process and then bringing it back to you later in the month of August will give you plenty of time to dive deep into the document. The document actually has all of the changes tracked so that that can easily be seen, the items that were changed. So you have two different categories of changes that we are proposing from staff. The first category is compliance with state law for a number of different things, and then the second category is housekeeping items only. And so I'll start with the housekeeping items. Misspellings, grammar, or wrong word usage. There were some duplicate sections included where it just had like an A, B, C, D, but C, D were the same as A and B. So those were cleaned up and removed. Cleanup of procedure as it is actually done. For example, there are mentions in Articles 10, 11, and 12 of items that the Community Development Department handles, which actually our engineering department now handles. And that restructuring needed to be indicated in our code. We also needed to correct contradictions and redundancies in procedure. Some of those things have been found sort of by accident when we're researching what a procedure should look like. Correcting wrong cross-references to other sections of the UDO, And I just want to note, for those housekeeping items, there are no substantive changes. And if anything, the rights of the city council and mayor have been expanded upon where they were not before, to allow for things like the other amendment that you just looked at for data centers. Those kind of things, we want to make sure that we're not taking away any substantive rights in this particular set of amendments. This is all for cleanup purposes only. So the second category, compliance with state law, and this is where I'm going to sort of pass this back to Ms. Reed. We're looking at the appeal process. We're looking at the zoning procedures law. We're looking at annexations, and we're looking at variances. The cleanup is actually one of the things that has expanded the power of council and has removed staff's ability to do a variance. That was thought by staff to be very important, to be in the hands of city council 100% of the time. Another change with variances is you're dealing with concurrent variances now. So sometimes you will see an applicant come in with a rezoning request and a variance request at the same time. Our code did not provide for that previously because the state law was not clear on that. They have made changes, and again, Ms. Reed can talk a little bit more about that. The appeal process changed for every sort of appeal in the state of Georgia, going from a small claims magistrate court case that gets appealed up to a city council decision that gets appealed up. And there's a new process for that that involves a whole rewriting of a whole section of the Georgia code. So our code now, upon adoption of this amendment, will match those requirements. Ms. Reed, if you want to talk a little bit about the zoning procedures law and the annexation changes.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. That was great. I want to add to some things that Miranda has mentioned. Of course, as you know, the state zoning law, once the state adopts, we're kind of held to ensure that we're adopting as well. So the items that I'm mentioning are things that the state is requesting us to do, so it kind of doesn't give us room to change those languages. As she's mentioned, the zoning procedure law, as to how we define what quasi-judicial is and how we process how those requests are made in appeals, those are things that we do not have the room to change, but those are things that we have found within your text amendment for you, how that language could work. I will say for the variance, concurrent variance, we have been sort of doing that in a way. We just have never made it a required process. There has been rezonings, and then we'll allow for the applicant to come after with a variance. Now it's required that they are coming together. If we're aware that there is going to be a zoning change and that applicant cannot meet that particular zoning requirement, the variance can follow on the same agenda to ensure that the development leaves with everything it's needed to move it forward. One thing that Miranda mentioned that I would love to kind of express a little deeply, I have the authority to give an admin variance, and it spells that out to what extent. However, the state now says in order for an admin variance to be granted, it must be done at a public hearing. So it's no difference between the variance you're providing and the variance I'm providing. So now it says that I technically don't need to give a variance because it can be provided at this level. And that makes sense to me that it needs to be solely with you all. Next, if the city initiates a multifamily development, if it comes from a single-family development into a multifamily development, if you're initiating it, it goes through a very detailed process. It adds a number of additional public hearings, a number of advertisements, a number of things of notifying the public. So that's spelled out as well in your text amendment. So the state requires different levels of extremes now for those particular multifamily developments to have for the local government. Lastly, Miranda mentioned annexations. That's kind of also kind of a housekeeping piece because the state speaks on a little bit of it, but what we did here, a lot of the things that we're doing as a process, we're having it as a process that we wanted to make it more legislative. As far as I bring to you a suggestion of whether, well, not suggestion, I inform you of an application being received. We're adding that text in there just to kind of outline how our process is going, but it does not change anything that the state law has on annexation. So that's pretty much where we have those amendments. Miranda mentioned we've spent several months working on this document. Marcus's team as well has worked. We've worked really hard on this, and we just would like to ask your request that you allow us to move it over to the Planning Commission for their consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. Oh, my goodness. That's a lot of information.
It is.
Coach, and I said, I thought I had a pretty decent understanding of this item when we came out of our meeting earlier today, and now I'm going to go read it some more, and I'll probably have to call you between now and Monday. But thank you guys so much for all that information. Council, do you guys have questions? Madam Mayor?
I just had a quick comment. I wanted to thank Ms. Reed, the committee chair, and Staff Attorney Jordan. I know this House Bill 1405 does open up a larger conversation for the state of Georgia because we're growing at leaps and bounds, and especially in the Atlanta region area, which we are part of the ARC. We're not an island on our own. We're part of the Atlanta region. So as the region grows, we have to prepare for this growth. And I think this bill, 1405, with the additional comments from our professionals at the city, will help us to kind of put our arms around how we develop and how we grow in the community. So thank you so much, and thank you for your hard work. And we'll try to eat this elephant one bite at a time. No pun on the Delta elephants, but you are. Thank you, Ms. Reed. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Any other questions? Coach? do you have one?
Ms. Reed, I know last year, maybe it was the year before, the Georgia legislature was kicking around a law that would restrict cities, municipalities from making decisions. And I know that's what we're kind of talking about here. I mean, this isn't an effort by them to dictate how we develop Douglasville, Douglas County, because the law that was being entertained that never made it through wherever it had to make it through, but it's been attempted twice to tell the city of Douglasville that we can't say no to certain types of development. That's not what this is.
No, this is a state law that every city or municipality, shall I say, we're all required to adopt. So it's nothing particular to us. It's not telling us necessarily that we can't do. It's just telling us how to do.
Okay.
And to add to that is how to do as far as procedure goes.
Right.
How many days in advance you have to publish a notice of a public hearing for a rezoning or a variance or a special land use permit, for example. And it didn't change a lot. The biggest change, I think, was for variances.
Correct.
To give a little bit more time, 30 days rather than 15 days. But there weren't a lot of changes to that procedure that would have substantively affected anything going on in the city as far as development goes. I'm familiar with what you're talking about, and that keeps getting put forth, like you can only have homes that are a certain size or that sort of thing, but home rule has taken over, and those things have not made it very far at all in the legislative process in the General Assembly.
That's brought me out of the fog a little bit, so that I've been
Yeah.
experiencing here. Now, I mean, Ms. Reed, you do such an excellent job of explaining things, but like Councilwoman Miller, I'm going to have to reread a few things because I just would like to have a firmer grasp on this. But there is a lot of information there. Appreciate your expertise on this and being able to explain it to us.
Thank you. I partner very well with Miranda, so I can't take all the credit.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
Well, thank you, ladies, very much for all of your hard work. Council, I suggest y'all go do your reading on this week's book club, and we'll take this item up on Monday as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, that is all that we have this evening for planning and development.
That's all? Okay, thank you so much, Madam Chair. We will move on items 13 through 16, public improvement and beautification, public relations, recreation, culture, and tourism, or technology committees do not have any business unless something has been added to the agenda. Is that correct?
That's correct. Nothing has been added.
All right, thank you so much. Open the floor for the elected officials. If we have any other business to present tonight, this is your opportunity. bring it to the floor. Thank you so much. I did want to address conscientious citizens like Mr. Young who have concerns about the moratorium that the county has put forward. Not that the city is perfect, but we are very considerate of our citizens. We are very aggressive in having community input in everything that we do as a government. We are the city is a stable government in that we're methodical, intentional, and very deliberate about where we put development and how we develop and how we respond with services to the citizens. And so much so that we have a comprehensive plan. We have several meetings throughout the year, town halls, to receive information. And so we looked at a moratorium, but at this point where we are in the city, not to say that it isn't a conversation or a topic that's off the table, but as our committee chair stated, there has to be a reason for the moratorium, to do a study and to come back with that information. We are developing our town green in our downtown, and that will, of course, require some beyond the amphitheater development around the town green. So we're looking forward to trying to develop the city in a smart way that benefits all the citizens. Our community relations department, police department, parks, all those areas receive awards for what we do in the community. Not to say that, again, the city's perfect, but we definitely try to hear what the community says and to move forward in a very cognizant way. So hopefully we will meet the needs of the community and not bulldoze and, keep moving forward. So that's what I wanted to say about the moratorium. And then we'll move on to updates from our city staff, our city attorney, Mr. Joel Dotson.
No business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Staff attorney, Ms. Miranda Jordan.
No business, Madam Mayor, thank you.
You're welcome, thank you. Our chief of police, Dr. Gary Sparks.
Yes, we have our, Madam Mayor and Council, August the 6th, from 5 to 8. We will be having our National Night Out at Fowler Field.
Okay.
That's located off Chapel Hill Road. We have things for kids' activities, food, games, and just an opportunity for the citizens to come out and meet your law enforcement agencies. So that's the National Night Out, August the 6th, from 5 to 8 at Fowler Field. We hope to see everyone there.
So, Chief, what is a national night out?
Well, it's an opportunity for the citizens to come out and, get to meet the law enforcement officers, also, touch the trucks and, we have our K-9s out there and all the things that, not all the things, but some of the things that you provide us with to make sure that our citizens are safe.
Yes,
We'll
sir.
have those things out for people to come and see. And just to, this community relationship building, a relationship building, that's what it's all about. And this, when they say National Night Out, it's a national thing. It's
Yes,
just
sir.
not happening in Douglasville. It's going throughout the whole nation.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for that, Chief. We appreciate that. We'll look forward to August 6th and participating best we can with that initiative to help the community. As you say, that we're one, the community and the police department's one. So we appreciate that, and we look forward to that opportunity to serve. And again, as you move forward, being one with the community, being the chief of the year for the state and the police department, the police department, #1 police department in the state of Georgia for the year. So we appreciate that. All right, move on after our chief to our deputy city manager, Ms. Chelsea Jackson.
Yes, ma'am. Just brief announcement. You all received the email from me on Monday regarding the Town Green Concert Series. Of course, we have concerts on August 24th, September 14th, and October 5th. As you all know, we work with RCS Productions to provide artists, a diverse array of artists for individuals to enjoy. As always, staff will continue working from the list that we provided to the Talent Selection Committee, which was in January of 2023, and that was provided through RCS. We'll continue working through that list, and of course, for the spring 2025 concert, you'll have staff come before you at the beginning of the year to gain the consensus of those artists. So just wanted to make that announcement, and as well as if you haven't seen that email, please check the email that I sent out this week.
Yes, ma'am. So even some of the artists, if they're controversial or whatever is happening in the community with them, we have a contractual agreement with those artists from RCS that has been going forward, as our deputy city manager has said, a year prior to the actual concert. So if we have a situation where we've signed with an artist, unless it's something egregious, we cannot get out of the contract unless we pay them out or whatever our legal staff says. So since we do have that agreement with RCS, which is our firm, that is the conduit in between, the bridge between ourselves, which is an independent board that brings forth those artists that we appointed, and the actual artist, then we have to stand with the agreement that we've signed with those artists sometimes a year prior to them coming to the city.
And Madam Mayor, when
performing.
selecting those artists, we make sure that we speak with the chief and deputy chief regarding those artists. We want to make sure we don't bring any artists that have any public safety concern or any criminal record. So as long as those artists don't have any concern as it comes from our public safety department and our police chief, then we will continue booking those artists. We want to ensure that those artists don't provide like a safety hazard or have a criminal record. And so any artists that we booked have not.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Deputy City Manager. Now we'll move on, then we're past item, it's been a late evening for us. We usually don't stay this long, but we're at item 19, which is staff reports, and we'll have one under Finance Committee and then another one under Planning and Development Committee. So the Finance Committee one is our staff report on proposed millage rate for 2024, and that is our Assistant City Manager, Ms. Karen Callan, and CFO.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Mayor. Thank you. Karen Callan, 6695 Church Street. So we have received our valuation from Douglas County tax assessors, and it is time to adopt the millage rate. And as we discussed in our strategic planning session in January, and based on the outcomes of the service delivery agreement for fire services, animal control, in addition to our reduction in the local option sales tax percentage, we are recommending that we publish an increase of 1.25 mils. So we're proposing not to adopt the rollback rate. And based on that and the state statute, we have to have 3 public hearings, and I have that schedule listed on your memo attached to this agenda item. So the first and second public hearing will be 10 a.m., 6 p.m., August 15th, and August 29th will be the third, and then a special call meeting to adopt the millage rate at 5:30. If you page down, there's a 5-year history. You'll see the ad that we'll need to run in the paper. The millage rate will total 8.749. If you page down again, you'll see another ad that is required by state statute to publish exactly this way. The impact to someone with a $350,000 house would be $175 a year, which would be $14.58 a month. And for a $300,000 house, that would be $150 a year and $12.50 a month. So that is what we're proposing. We wanted to get consensus before I run the advertisements next week.
Thank you so much, Ms. Callan. Do we have any comments from Coach?
No, ma'am. I think our Assistant City Manager has done a good job of laying out why we have to do this. And just anybody else who wants to chime in?
Part of these fire services we're paying, we have to raise it for that reason, for a service delivery agreement to provide fire protection and animal control.
Any other
All right, no, thank you, Ms. Callen.
Thank you.
We'll move on. We have another staff report, and it is concerning a development plan for a 17.08 acres located at Veterans Memorial Highway and Whitley Drive in Land Lot 192, District 2, Section 5, Parcel ID 01920250064, 01920250063, 01920250062, 01920250061, 01920250060, and 01920250059, application by Planners and Engineers Collaborative, Kenneth Wood, and this is Councilmember Nicole Miller's item, but we were going to have Mr.
Gray, Dana Gray.
Yes, sir. Say your last name. I was going to say Gray, to say give us an overview and then have any comments. But he's just given us a staff report on the development plan.
Yes. Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. My name is Dana Gray. I'm at 6695 Church Street. As stated, this is a development plan consisting of about 17 acres located on Veterans Memorial and Whitley Drive. This is a mixed residential subdivision with 99 lots, 54 are single-family detached homes, and 45 are rear-loaded attached townhomes. This item came before you in May of 2022 for rezoning and was approved for a PUD. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Gray. Councilmember Miller, if you want to talk about this is your ward.
Thank
and
you, Madam Mayor.
And Councilmember Hudson.
It's kind of funny because I know we see these things, it gets approved and then it gets put on the shelf in my brain for a few years until it comes back around. And I know that this is just a staff report, but what is the time frame for this and what happens now?
After you review
you.
this, it goes into the LDP phase.
Bless you.
I'm sorry.
It will go into LDP.
Okay.
So it'll go into review by various departments for the LDP for approval, and then they get a permit and they can start moving earth.
Okay. So honestly, like when I looked at it this time and I thought, whoa, that's really dense to be right there, but we've already approved it. So I don't think, is there anything that can be done about that?
Not at this point.
No, you're just sharing with us. Okay. Was there anyone who wanted to say anything on that? Okay.
I do remember us having a lot of community comments on this particular development, and it does look like some improvements were made as far as amenities with a dog park and other, if we're on page 5, looking at some of the pool and some of the other amenities, as well as a rear entrance that is in the back that will be for public safety, for
Right,
fire
that's
or
just for
police.
emergency, right?
For emergency, yes, ma'am. It'll be locked off unless there is an emergency, and that is at the bottom of your page 5, near the green space.
Okay.
So that is correct. They improved the amenity area. They provided a pond with a trail around it. It looks like they added some trails toward Veterans Memorial Highway and a pocket park.
Yes, and a dog park.
Yes.
Okay.
Pools, yes.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Councilman Estes, did you have something to add to that?
Not specifically for this. I'm just curious as to why this is showing up as a staff report. I've never seen this before, so I'm just curious.
We've done staff, I believe we just did one maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago, but at the beginning of the year, you all asked to see the development plan before it actually went through the process, so.
Okay, sorry. That's bad memory on my part. Thank you.
It's a lot to remember, Councilman
That's
Estes.
okay. I kind of thought the same thing earlier. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
For that report. Madam Mayor, that's the conclusion of our staff report.
Thank you so much, Madam Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Gray. Now, we have completed all of our items, and we're down to item number 20, comments from citizens and delegates. If you sustain the meeting and you'd like to speak to us, please come forward, give us your name and address for the record, and you have 5 minutes to talk to us about any business germane to the city of Douglasville. Yes, sir. Good evening.
Blessings, council. Blessings, madam. Blessings to everybody.
Yes, sir.
I do want to make this something that is quick. My name is Kayum Harris. I know this is Conference Center, Church Street. I'm not familiar with the address. I'm sorry. I know you said it a lot of times. But what I would like to propose is that we look for a more, like Council Terry Miller was saying, a more holistic approach, right? And I don't believe that that's something that we need to just look at in our infrastructure. I believe it's something we need to look at in our people. I am the CEO and founder of Ask for Life 4 Incorporated, and I have emailed a few of you a couple of proposals to what I believe needs to happen. We specialize in essential human consideration, and I believe everybody needs it, right? And this, in turn, will bring in the revenue that we need in order to develop the way that we want to develop, right? Happy people do happy labor and come home and give happiness to their family. And the more that we lean into that, because another variant of COVID has come out, right? The world is just happening to us, and we need to do something in response. We don't need to go into the dumps with the world. We need to bring the world up. It's screaming for help, and we need to help it. Everybody on this panel is a person. Everybody in this room is a person. And that's exactly what we need to grow and develop. I'll give you one thing that I'm doing just to give you an example of what my company does, right? I'll just say education, right? In schools, we have children that aren't scoring what they should be scoring, aren't behaving the way that they should be behaving. And we're putting it on the teachers, we're putting it on everybody else, but we have to bring it in and say we're all a village. The parents, the school district, the students, we all need to be together, come together, and actually get everything together by being intimate with our children. For instance, in just one instance, instead of just allowing the grades to happen for our kids, what I suggest is that we give the report card to our children and we have them fill it out first. You see, this will give us an idea of who the child thinks they are versus what the test is showing or what the score is showing or what their reading level is. We need to know who they are, where and how they're thinking so that we can assess and help them rise to the occasion or rise to the scholastic level that they have the potential of getting to. Okay? One more example, and I promise I'll be done. We have businesses and we have daycares. I'm here to bring and unify everything. That's what we do. We have children and we have our jobs that we have. But if we have to go across town to get our children, then we're in that traffic. Then we're coming back home through the traffic as well. This is nothing but frustration. What if we actually combined the daycare and had contracted business with the businesses and the daycares, so that the daycares can either shuttle the children to a feasible area where the parents can pick them up, or they can bring them actually to the business where the parents can actually pick them up on their way out the door. What we're doing is just making it easier and more convenient and more human-centric for the things that we have to do in this lifetime. And I believe that I'm in the right place to do that. I've listened to everything that y'all are saying, and you're very forward-thinking and innovative people, and I'd like to just join that and collaborate with that and offer solutions. And that's why I'm here today. My name is Kayam Harris, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the community and working with you guys as well.
Thank you. Mr. Harris, what's your address? I apologize. I don't know if Ms. Candace James, did you get the address? Did you fill out a speaker card?
Yes, I will do that. I will do that. I will do
Okay.
that.
For the record, did you?
For the record, 6647 Forestdale Lane, Douglasville, Georgia.
Okay, Forestville Lane. All right. Thank you so much. Mr.
Blessings.
Harris. Any other comments from citizens and delegates? Yes, sir. Deputy City Manager.
Madam Mayor, I just wanted to let you know, I've spoken with staff and it relates to item number 24217. We'll actually pull that item and it'll go out to bid. So staff has done further research. So on Monday, you will not see that item on your agenda. So that's item number 24-217 regarding the restrooms.
The restrooms, it was
Yes,
the one
ma'am.
about the parks and the restrooms.
Yes,
How it
ma'am.
went to, it was for the government-approved vendors. So we're going to put it out to bid.
Yes, ma'am. We'll pull it and do more research and pull it out, put it out to bid.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Deputy City Manager. Any other comments from staff or elected officials, citizens? If not, then not having any other business, this meeting is adjourned.